Midsommar is the new film from director Ari Aster, who did last year's Hereditary, which if you've watched my channel, you know how much I loved that film. I consider it to be one of the greatest horror movies of the decade. I just think it's a damn masterpiece. And so when I heard that he was releasing another horror movie or horror type movie this year, 1 year later, I was like, hell yeah, bring it on. And so I went into this with pretty high expectations. I try not to get my expectations too out of control because I don't want to be disappointed, but it was kind of hard not to have high expectations after the insane directorial debut that Hereditary was, with the incredible performance by Toni Collette and the unsettling nature of the film. It just shook me. And it was, I don't usually feel much during horror movies in the sense of anxiety or fear. And when a movie can invoke that in me, I kind of give it the highest praise I possibly can as a horror movie, because it's about as scared as I can get in a film. And so when I went into this tonight, I did not really know what to expect as far as the film went because, as usual, I avoided trailers. In fact, I even plugged my ears and closed my eyes and I hummed through all the trailers that were before this, and I did the same for this movie's trailer when I was seeing it in theaters, or I would look away when it was on the television if it was playing before something, whatever. So, yeah. All right, so let's get right into it. Now, I want to say this up front, and I think that this is important. A24 releases unique films into theaters, and it's something that I am very happy about. And I'm not really sure exactly how strongly I feel about that, because this is not a film for everybody. I'm not even close. It's a wide theater release. I mean, this is playing in multiple theaters around me. This isn't like some art house, one or two locations in your city or in your state kind of film. This is a pretty big, wide release for this movie, and this is not for a mainstream audience in the slightest. And I was talking to my buddy Slade as I was driving home from this, and we kind of both had the same experience. We both absolutely loved the movie, but our theaters absolutely loathed it. And when I say like loathed, I mean like aggressively out loud once the film was over. I mean, they were at least courteous enough to stay silent, angrily silent throughout my viewing experience, outside of some misplaced laughter, which, like, I kind of get where they're coming from, but I was not in a place to laugh in the moment. But I do think that there will be a good amount of uncomfortable laughter during certain sequences. But man, when that movie ended, and Slade had a very similar experience, the whole front row, like this, there was like 2 rows in front of me. These people were like, it almost felt personal. That's how angry they were. And they had to be so boisterous with it. They had to be so loud with it so that the whole theater could feel their displeasure or maybe try to empathize with them, or I don't know what their goal was with their anger. And they even brought this into the parking lot, being very loud about it. And in a way I get it, because as much as people claim that they want original film, I don't believe them. And I think that this is a good example of that. This is a fairly wholly original film. I mean, you can only be so original. So that's why I say, I almost contradict myself with a fairly wholly. But I feel like this is about as original as you can get with a film. And man, I mean, I just thought this movie was beautifully disturbing. It is a gorgeous film. See, where most horror movies play to their strengths is in the darkness. And this film doesn't allow itself to go there much. The story is written just so that you can't hide behind that. This film is in the daylight. A group of friends travel to Sweden, and while there, they're there during this Midsommar festival that this little village, one of their friends who grew up there, brings them there for this. And of course, things get pretty screwy. But this is a very slow movie, and it has insanely violent imagery at times. It's short-lived, but man, when it happens, it hits hard. It is hyper-realistic and extremely unsettling and upsetting. I mean, the girl that was in that group of people that I was mentioning earlier got up and walked out of the theater in full tears, like freaking out at the level of brutality on the screen. Now, I want to emphasize that this is not a gore fest by any means. So please don't think that's what I'm saying. Don't think you're going to go in. It's not. For the most part, this movie is mostly about really well-placed, long-take shots of gorgeous scenery and people, long pauses in dialogue. Now, I don't want to say that this movie is, a film without a lot of talking in it. There's a good amount of dialogue, but there is scenes with long extended periods of quiet, but beautiful. And it is also a drug movie as well. There's a lot of drug use in the movie and a lot of druggish imagery throughout it. And if you suffer from panic attacks, like me and my buddy Slade do, you will feel this movie when certain characters are feeling that emotion. And man, it really messes with you if you have high anxiety and you understand what they're going through. Florence Pugh, who is the lead actress here, I think is absolutely incredible. She's following up the now, in my opinion, iconic performance that is Toni Collette's in Hereditary, one of the greatest performances in film, not just horror for me. And she really had a tough act to follow, but I think that she did a fantastic job. I'm not really familiar with this actress. I know I've seen her before, but I can't really place where it is. We also have Will Poulter in here. He's not a main character, but he's more of a secondary character. He's almost comedic relief in a movie that doesn't have, I don't know, it is funny at times, and it's going for it. It's not like it's, accidentally funny, but there's definitely scenes where people were laughing that they shouldn't have been laughing at. It's just very uncomfortable and awkward at times. So I get the laughter. It's a nervous laughter. It's a what the fuck am I watching? Because that's what this is. This is a what the fuck kind of movie, and that's what you expect. And I think people need to understand what they're taking people in to see. But this is the kind of film that I really wish people will go see because I want it to be supported. Because I'm so glad I got to see something like this in theaters. I'm so glad that there are still people out there that want to make movies like this and actually put them on a big screen for us to be able to go out to the theater and enjoy. So, I don't know, I'm of two minds on it. The selfish part of me wants people to have to sit through these things and challenge themselves, because it's what these are. These are challenging movies. They make you think and they make you question what a film actually is. Is it just pure entertainment, or is it, there's so many different things they can be. And I don't know, I feel like mainstream audiences, they just want mindless escapism. And that's not what this is. This movie will get under your skin. And I've said this before, many times. People really just genuinely seem to not understand what's scary anymore. They think things are being thrown at the screen and booze and jump scares are what's scary. That's not scary. you know, mental illness is scary. Being far away from home in a foreign place where you don't understand customs and you don't understand what's going on and there's no escape and you're just kind of along for the ride is terrifying. This is a fish out of water mind fuck of a film. And I think Ari Aster hit another home run with this. But there's going to be a ton of people who disagree with this heavily. This is going to be yet another split film. But for me, all the best movies are divisive like this at first. And as they go on, they start to get their credibility, with their audience. Then it starts to be looked at later on, years past. Like in 10 years from now, Hereditary will mostly be considered a masterpiece by its fans. And all the people who hate it will have moved on. And I think that's true of a lot of films in general, just throughout the ages, throughout, the history of cinema. The ones that are revered later on were very, very divided. And this is going to be one of them. This is going to be absolutely fucking detested by a lot of people who are going to be like, this isn't art, this is just stupidity, whatever. I got to hear it. I got to hear a firsthand experience of it in my theater. This is what I expect to see online. It was almost weird to see it in its organic state. It's almost like seeing it out in the wild, seeing the internet in front of you, actually hearing those voices and being like, oh yeah, like these are attached to real people, because we're usually reading them on screens and not really attaching it to anybody specific. But I got to watch these people so angry. But man, I mean, there are people, Slade, my buddies, other people in my horror group, Daniel Seal, loved it, but this is an art house movie. It is not for everybody. I've said that enough. I'm not going to freaking repeat myself on that again. Apologize for being repetitive there, but I guess I want to just drive that point home. Understand who you're taking to the theater. If you didn't like Hereditary, I don't want to say that these are similar, because I don't feel like they are. Hereditary was a very dark movie, and I mean that's like quite literally. It's filmed so in the dark, and this movie is in the light. This movie is, very bright. It does not hide in the darkness. It's all in your face. It's all brightly lit. It's beautiful summer days in rolling freaking grassy hills, and it's like freaking Sound of Music on acid. And man, what a trip of a movie. I am extremely pleased, and I can thankfully say that Ari delivered again, and I absolutely will put this as my number one horror movie of the year, beating out the Annabelle Comes Home, which I'm sure you're talking about two completely different films. That's a traditional kind of horror movie, and Annabelle Comes Home, and you can disagree with me and think it's horrible or whatever the hell. I saw a guy recently talking about how the Conjuring universe shouldn't even exist and all these spin-offs are pointless. But I thought this was a fantastic haunted house movie, but this is different. This is much different. This is next level shit. This is taking, something and reinventing it. And you'll hear comparisons to The Wicker Man. It's been a while since I've seen The Wicker Man, so I can't really speak to how similar they are, but from people I know who are fans of The Wicker Man and know it quite well, they said they understand the comparisons, but that this is wholly its own thing. And from my memory of The Wicker Man, I agree. I do see similarities for sure, and I feel like there's even a nod, like Daniel pointed out to me, to the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man. Very, very small, but I don't know. We'll see if Ari ever confirms that or not. But yeah, guys, I'm very much looking forward to. I am and I'm not. I'm looking forward to the hate and the this movie's terrible. But I got the same shit last year with Hereditary. There was this side of the coin who was like, fuck this movie. You know. you're an asshole if you like it, whatever. I saw some ridiculous claims. And then there's other people who will be on my side of things who are like, thank you. And it's such a shame to hear that Ari has said that he's not going to make horror movies anymore, that this is his last film. Hopefully he'll change his mind on that. I know, I think James Wan said the same thing, but then came back to horror and did a few of them. So, but I look forward to whatever he does next, whether it's drama or whatever. He is an insanely talented filmmaker who is challenging audiences in a way I feel is necessary. And thank you to A24 and all that for pushing films like this into the theater. We just don't get this kind of shit anymore. And yeah, what a wild ass movie. Holy shit, man. I look forward to your guys' thoughts, but one last time, understand what kind of movie this is and think about who you take to it. There's some graphic nudity and some graphic violence, and it's very, very slow paced, but man, what a thrill ride for me. Can't please them all. All right, guys, let me know what you thought. Adios.